Well, hello everyone and welcome to another very exciting episode here on the MIgardener channel. I'm so excited for this complete growing guide because of the fact it's one that I've never done before, and I know a lot of you have been asking about this, and it's Swiss chard. Swiss chard is one of my favorite greens, if not my favorite. It's just very colorful, super nutrient dense, and it grows so prolifically that if you're a family of 3, you can plant 4 or 5 plants and you're still gonna have more than you know what to do with. You're gonna be throwing it in the freezer, you're gonna be giving it to your neighbors and shoving it on them, and it's a lot like tomatoes. You don't need that many to feed your family. Obviously, we grow way more than that because we give some away to friends, family, food, the soup kitchen, and we eat so many greens during the summertime because it's so expensive in the store to buy, and that's why I love growing the stuff like that, is because we can buy broccoli, we can buy corn, so we don't grow as much of that. But the greens, man, those are the ones we focus on a lot in the garden here. So that's why we grow it. So let's get right into this growing guide and let's talk about kind of the temperature that you want to aim for when growing Swiss chard. So the ideal temperature that I find for Swiss chard is just about as soon as you can work the soil. Swiss chard are something that can tolerate very low temperatures, and you want to wait till it's about a week before your last frost. They can tolerate 31, 32 degrees, but I prefer not to put them through that because they are a more temperamental green. They're something that's seen as very cold tolerant, but something that if it does get frost, it's gonna let you know because the leaves are gonna kind of turn a little brown and withered. Now let's talk about the pH of the soil. The pH for Swiss chard is just about the same as all the other leafy greens, about pH of neutral. So I basically say pH of compost because the compost is going to have a very good pH buffer of 7, and that's neutral. So you're not gonna have something that's too acidic, you're not gonna have something that's too alkaline. So instead of getting caught up with all these different numbers of like a 5.5, a 6.5, an 8.5, that just confuses people. So I keep it really simple and just say a pH of compost. Because if you're using compost, it's gonna be right around the perfect pH. So all of our garden soil is 100% compost, and so that also answers the type of soil that I like to use for growing in. It's a very rich, organic soil that's full of compost. Well, it's all compost. It's pure compost, which is full of leaf mold and grass clippings, and it's just a very nice, rich matter that has worms in it as well, and different fungi and stuff that helps the plant grow better. So I don't get too scientific when it comes to the right type of soil. I just typically look at what nature does and say, if I can get something even close to that, my plants are going to do great. Now, one thing that I can say about soil, as you come in close, we check out the spacing and planting portion of this growing guide, really the easiest part of the growing guide, by the way. The soil also has some sand in it. And what I like to do is I like to mix in the compost and sand at a 1-to-1 ratio, because I find that oftentimes adding sand to the bed, it also helps increase the drainage. And that's something that I've always made a practice of. It doesn't necessarily add any nutrients. It doesn't really help out the soil in any way as far as the nutrients go, but when it comes to drainage and helping the roots have something nice and fluffy to penetrate and go down deep, it really helps with that. So your soil is going to clump a lot less with sand. And I find that even when I'm using compost, sometimes the grass clumps that are from the compost can kind of stick together and map together. And you'll find that that can kind of be hard sometimes for the roots to go through. So by adding sand, it helps to kind of break up that matting and keep everything really nice and free flowing, which you'll see in a second. So come in close and let's check this out. All right, so this is kind of what I was talking about with the whole matting thing. This is actually finished compost, believe it or not. And it was dry in one of our other beds, but I wanted to show you kind of what I mean by the fact that it really mats together and it produces these little kind of, I don't know, it kind of looks like little sheets. It's little sheets of compost, and they kind of just peel apart, but it's very difficult for the roots to get through. So what we do is we add that sand, and now instead of the clumps, look at this. I mean, it's just unreal how loose and crumbly it is. So you go from this stuff, which is very great, rich in organic matter, but it clumps together, to adding some sand, and now it's just wow. I mean, that's all you can really say is wow. So Now let's get into planting. What you want to do is you want to space your plants out about every 8 to 10 inches, same as a lot of your other leafy greens, because of the fact that you're going to be harvesting. A lot of times people say, oh, space it out about a foot. And I just say to them, why? You know, why do you want to space your plants out a foot? Are you not harvesting from them? You know, what are you gaining by that? So ideally, 8 to 10 inches is going to be great because you can pack them in there. And what that's going to do is it's going to give you a couple extra plants per square foot that you wouldn't normally get by following their spacing methods. And also what you're going to do is you're going to be able to obviously produce more food. So I like to go high intensity, and I produce way more food in my square footage than most people. And they say, you know, man, out of this 30 square foot bed, you're producing the amount of food that I get out of a 100 square foot bed. And I say, well, you know, what's your spacing like? And once you look at their spacing, it's very evident why they're not getting as much as I am. So that's just my little secret to getting more food for less space, which is nice too, because I think as a society, that's where we're going to be going. You know, we need to look at ways to produce more food organically than how we normally do. And I see absolutely nothing wrong with this spacing whatsoever. And this is how I've always spaced mine, and they've done great. So there you go. Hopefully you all enjoyed. Hopefully you all learned something new. I highly suggest growing Swiss chard. Like I said, it is such a nutrient-dense vegetable, high in vitamin K, E, C, A, fiber, protein. It's just unreal. It's got lots of iron as well. So it's an all-around amazing green worth growing. And it's something that I think a lot of grocery stores even have really neglected to carry. I've hardly ever seen Swiss chard in our local grocery store. And it's a shame too, because it's probably one of the most delicious greens out there. You know, kale is really delicious. It's very versatile, but it's a little hard sometimes. So in a nice salad, it's kind of difficult to incorporate for some people's tastes. But you throw in Swiss chard and they treat it just like any other lettuce. They don't even realize it's in there. So it's a very good transitional vegetable to get people interested in gardening without turning them off too much. Because some things in the garden are a little bit of an acquired taste that I find, but I love it. But as far as me trying to get other people eating vegetables is what I'm trying to say. So hopefully you all enjoyed. Hopefully you learned something new, and hopefully you're having fun in the garden. Whatever you're growing, as long as you're growing something, that's all that matters. So I will talk to you all later. This is Luke from the MIgardener channel, and I'll see you later. Bye.